Fine. Okay. So there's no question. Then I will continue. Now, do you remember exactly where we? Do you remember where exactly we stopped last time? Do you remember? I mean, at which part of the chapter point of view? Hello? Oh, somebody said style. We finished. Oh, we finished point of view, did we? Yeah. Well, I thought. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you very much. So today, if we have finished with this, then I will continue. Now, style, as you can see, is very short. Is very short, if you like. The chapter style, as you can see, I say here in fiction, really means the language used in a work, how the words are chosen, and the way they are put together to help us understand what the work means. Of course, you know, when you really talk about style, yeah, I mean, you should, I think, here understand that it nearly includes, again, everything in your story or in your novel. It depends how your style is very, for example, is it comical? Is it serious? What kind of language you are using? Is it metaphorical? It's simple, realistic? What kind of characters and so on? So really, you know, here I'm saying briefly, I say the language used. So this is the first, if you like, important part, which is to do with language. You know, the exact immediate meaning, which is, as I say, words, the words chosen, the sentences, the language chosen. As I say, is it a difficult language? Is it a complicated language? Is it written in shorter sentences, in longer sentences? The structures, and so on. You know, really all this, you know, it's to do with what we call here the style. So the idea really is very simple when you think about it. Maybe if I start sharing with you, maybe if you don't, maybe I will share a little bit to see if you. Yeah. So this is where I'm reading. Style is the distinctive way of employing language to produce the maximum effect in the reader. You know, so this is what I mean by, you know, I'm giving more definitions and more comprehensive definitions. Say the distinctive way of employing, you know, how you use language in so many ways. Style is the writer's distinctive manner of expressing to suit his or her ideas and purpose in writing, and so on. So you see, here I'm talking about all this general thing, general feeling about the short story or about the story or something like that. So again, I say the unique imprint of the author's personality upon his or her writing. Style is the product of the author's way of arranging ideas and his or her own use of diction. Different sentence structures, rhythm, figures of speech, rhetorical principles, and other elements of composition. You see, so here I'm elaborating more and more to say what is really style. I'm saying, you know, as you can see, my definition is growing all the time. You know, I'm just saying not just the language, not the word, the sentences, I'm saying the ideas and so on. So I'm using all that, as you can see, structures, sentence structures, rhythm, figures of speech, rhetorical devices, and other elements of style. All of this you know, all together really means your style, means your diction, means your way of doing things. Again, I say style is diction. You know, again here, diction really means everything about your style, your way of doing, and discourse, again said, notice discourse, as appropriated within the social context or situation of the characters. That is, for example, if you are talking about a certain class in society, just let me a second. Okay, so the idea again to say, I'm saying here, discourse and diction. Really, discourse is, for example, again, it means could be, you know, the special language used by a certain society or by a certain group of society, a certain section of society. Like, for example, you can say the poor people has a certain language and the rich people has a certain language, or this part of the town or this part of the country speaks in this way or talks in this way or deals with things in this way. So, for example, you can say women speak in this manner, men say this like this, and boys speak in this way. And this is what we call discourse, really. It's a special kind of use of language, as you can see here. And I'm really elaborating on this, as you can see. I say it's quite essential to know that discourse reflects the special relationship of characters to each other and to society. You know, this is what I mean here about special kind of language spoken, for example, by a certain group of society, by a certain, you know, whether you can say, you could say the rich people or the high class people or the poor people. Especially this is shown in many societies, in, for example, the English society, or I think in all societies you find the way people speak. For example, educated people speak in different way than not educated people, and so on. Do you see what I mean? Hello?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
Do you understand my explanation to say about, you know, the differences and the you know, the ways in which we see this as distinctive from other really groups or parts of society. So again, I say it is really, diction means the selection and arrangement of words in a literary work. Either or both may vary depending on this desired effect. Again, I say, you know, here I use, you know, different forms of styles, if you like. There are 4 general types of diction, or diction, I say. Formal diction, used in scholarly or lofty writing. Informal diction, used in relaxed but educated conversation. Colloquial, used in everyday speech. And slang, which sometimes slang really uses all sorts of language or all sorts of things, containing newly coined words and other terms not accepted in formal usage. So yes, I think we say that in writing and in real life, if you try to differentiate how people use language. So we say formal, informal, and then colloquial, and then slang, you know? And I think this is the idea here to say, of course, in a short story or in a novel, you find writers using all these things, sometimes because they want to show how characters speak, or how characters, they want to reflect their society. So they speak, for example, in very colloquial language or in slang language, because they want to say, well, this is how my people speak, and so on. So really, this is the idea here I'm saying. So again, I'm telling you more about the difference between discourse and diction. Notice here, discourse really means how a certain group of people use language to express their own feelings and attitudes. It is the special and different mode of expression for each one of the characters. Yeah, I'm saying, you know, as I said, educated people speak in a certain way, like uneducated people also speak in a certain way. You know, this is what we say. So the educated people, for example, have a different discourse from the non-educated. As I say, you know, bus drivers or taxi drivers use a certain language, unlike, for example, university professors, for example, or, you know, boys speak in a certain way which is different from girls, and so on. So this is what I mean by discourse. Okay, discourse again reflects what's happening inside the characters and reveals their suffering and their conflicting motivations. Therefore, the style employed throughout the story, be it description or dialogue, has to be taken seriously as one important feature of diction. Style is not just a matter of language and diction. It contains the whole fictional substance and support. Really, again, this is quite really interesting to see. Let me hear. I'm looking for something quickly to check one thing before I forget. Yeah, so this is, yes, good. Okay, so do you see again my screen? Can you see it back again?
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. So the next point here, I go back again to say, you know, each writer and each story has to have an individual distinctive style, largely determined by the subject of the tale. Yeah, you can say, yes, each writer writes in his or her own style. How you want to reflect the subject, and how you want to reflect your own society, how you want to reflect your own tale, and so on. So that's why your story could be allegorical, could be symbolical, could be ironical, could be, you know, imaginative, very imaginative, and so on. So these different styles really, I say, reflect what you want to say. So allegorical, for example, you use allegory, or symbolic when you use symbols, ironical when you use irony, and imagery again in the same way. So notice here, ironical style is one which has a meaning behind the surface meaning. I think it's very easy. When you use allegory, you always mean something else. Like for example, you know, Animal Farm, the novel that you have done before. So this is a novel, for example, the one you did with Animal Farm really is full of allegory, because what you read in front of you is not directly the meaning. It's, you know, it reflects something else. So this is what we mean by allegory. In the same way, you know, similar to symbolic in a sense. So I'm saying here, there's a meaning behind the surface meaning. That is, it generally conveys a message or teaches a moral or a religious lesson, like in fables or parables, as I will show you today, maybe later on at the end of this introduction or the end of this lecture today. So I'm saying here, you know, they could be, of course, full of meanings and full of other interpretations. So I'm saying here, they narrate one coherent set of circumstances which signify a second order of correlated meanings. you know, these are what I mean, allegories or fables or parables. You read them, but they mean something else. You have to look at the other meaning. Again, the same thing, the same thing we say about figures or, you know, figurative style, which is the same thing. The technique in which the author temporarily interrupts the order construction or meaning of ordinary or everyday language for a particular effect. Again, you know, why do you use figures of speech? You know, because you want to say something. And this is really the idea. Like, for example, as I told you, the story called A Rose for Emily. Why do we say, or why do you think the writer used the word rose here? A rose, of course, it is here a metaphor. He is referring, he's using a figure of speech. But of course, not just in the title, but again, there are many things in the story itself which would mean something else. And this is what we say, you know, the kind of meaning which is, you know, meant at the end of the day. So this interruption takes the form of one or more figures of speech, such as hyperbole or irony or metaphor or simile or metonymy and so on. So really, this is all about what we call style. Again, when you look at the last section of the ironic style, furthermore, is the style which depends on comedy, irony, sarcasm, and satire. Again, I think, you know, all the stories which use animal characters, again, could be ironical in the same way. Here we use comedy, you use irony, you use satire, you use sarcasm, and we have so many examples in English, like, you know, for example, Jonathan Swift in his great novel called Gulliver's Travels, you know, later on you shall see, like in Animal Farm, or like, you know, Kalila wa Dumna by Ibn al-Muqaffa, or like all those stories, you know, like the Robin Hood stories, or like the Zorro stories, or all these stories, you know, they are ironical or sarcastic or satirical because they mean something else. They want to do something else. And really, this is, if you like, what we find sometimes really in many ways, even in reality, really, sometimes comedy is used there to make real social, if you like, lessons or, you know, effects, if you like, on society. So here we see about the action, I say, is meant to strike us, not as real, but as illustrative of human traits, exaggerating human weaknesses, such as greed or lust. Again, it's very close to satire. And here I'm trying to say between the difference between satire and comedy, which are really, to some extent, a bit different, but they are close in meanings, if you like. You know, for example, I say comedy can be more disruptive. It presents a picture of crazy, irrational world where there's nothing or real or no social value or trust. Great examples of comic novels, as we see many comical novels by people like Fielding or Thackeray or Dickens. You know, all these writers really use comedy. They really use comedy in such a funny way in order, as I say, to really strike lessons. Whereas I say Jonathan Swift is the best example of satire and sarcasm. Again, we say Jane Austen uses a lot of irony in her novels. She's really the very best writer, even of irony, throughout the English language, Jane Austen. Especially in novels later on, inshallah. I don't know if you study with me later on another course called Studies in Longer Fiction. I teach Jane Austen, one of her novels called Pride and Prejudice, which is really a great novel, and it's full of irony. And so on. Really, this is the idea here. I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, the last section here, I see about the, you know, I conclude with irony, you know, differentiating between two different ironies, and I think I said that, maybe irony of situation or dramatic irony or verbal irony. I think we know this. For example, irony of situation is when the result of an action is the reverse of what a character expected. You know, you do something to expect something else, but what you get is different. So this is what we say irony of situation, because you think you'll be, for example, you do this because you think you'll be rich, but you know, at the end of the day you don't. So you know, this is what we say, this is irony of situation. When for example, again, you know, I think it happens all the time. And in dramatic irony, it's like in a play, in drama, I say, notice the audience and readers know something that the other characters in the play or novel do not know. You know, and I think this is true. Sometimes we as readers, we know who's the killer, but the actors, for example, or other characters in the play don't know. So this is what we say irony of, or dramatic irony, sorry, dramatic irony, because in drama, the audience and maybe other characters, or mainly the audience or the reader, really, they know the end, whereas the characters don't. And this is the idea, we say, dramatic irony. Whereas verbal irony is how you know, and the way you say it. For example, the contrast is between the literal meaning of what is said and what is meant. For example, I say, oh, I like you, when you mean, oh, I hate you. You know, you understand that. Hello?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, this is what we mean by really verbal. You say something, you mean the opposite. And really, this is very often, you know, the situation and the case. Now, the last section, again, is quite short and really simple, which is, again, the tone. You know, I think it's clear. The tone and atmosphere, that is, in any short story, you know, you have a certain tone. As I said, a certain tone. Yeah, you know, and I think I said that many times before. Is it a story of death? Is it a story of comedy? Is it a simple? Is it a complicated? Is it ironical? And so on. So the tone and the atmosphere, really briefly, whether you are in a tragic tone or tragic atmosphere, sad atmosphere, or in the other way, which is could be happy, pleasant, etc., etc. So really, this is the general meaning of that. In every story, in every novel, in every play, you say, oh, I like this, oh, I don't like this, because you say it's a sad story, or oh, it's a story of horror, or a story of, for example, fear and terror and so on. Or, you know, you say, you give your reaction about the tone, because either you like it or you don't like it, and it depends how you feel about it. And this is really what we mean by the tone. In reading fiction, there's always a special tone or attitude the reader feels about the author and his material, or there is a certain mood which dominates the text. Tone and atmosphere are then interchangeable with the attitude or mood of the author and his respectively, or the text respectively. And they are strongly interrelated here. That is, when you say tone and atmosphere, it's like saying attitude and mood. You know, whether your mood is sad or happy, or, you know, your attitude, whether you are okay or not, and so on. And I think this is always, you see, oh, I like this novel because this novel is miserable. You know, it's always about death or about people, etc. Or, for example, you say, oh, I like this short story. It's so pleasant and so nice, and you know, we always laugh and enjoy it, and so on. So in this case, you are talking about tone and atmosphere, and talking about attitude, and talking about mood, and all this. So I'm saying here the tone could be sad or happy, and you can see the sadness and the happiness of the characters everywhere. The tone, again, you say, is the attitude displayed by the writer or narrator towards his characters and materials, etc. Again, you say the tone is the intonation of the written word. Again, it's the straightforward statement or the unmistakable question which the writer raises really throughout his narrative. Tone, again, yeah, somebody coming in. Yeah, more people coming in. Yeah, I still have. Oh, I have people asking. No, they're just saying yes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Now, the idea really, I'm trying really to quickly and I think easily said. Here, I give examples for you. In fiction, I say, as in reality, there are many ways of expressing feelings and emotions, and therefore the tone of the narrative will be clear from the endless variety of feelings or emotions of comparison, scorn, delight, sarcasm, irony, etc., etc. For instance, which are expressed by the author. Again, the narrator's tone, for example, will either reinforce the meanings of the text or turn it upside down, as is often done by the writer's, choice or name, such which reveals his true attitude towards his work. The best example, or if you like here, really is, as you can see, I gave you examples. Novels like, Charles Dickens's novels, like here, the way he chooses his names or the names of characters in many of his novels, and the subtle ironies used in his novels like Oliver Twist, Hard Times, Great Expectations. Another great example to clarify this question is the tone and attitude is the name of Gabriel Oak in Thomas Hardy's novel called Far From the Madding Crowd. It's an amazing novel, this novel by Thomas Hardy, and the character called Gabriel and Oak, even the name itself, has a lot of meanings. Even the name Gabriel means Jibrail, could be. The meaning you want us to think of Jibrail as an angel. And the word oak, which is very solid, absolutely strong, lovely, beautiful kind of wood, kind of tree, which is very solid. And the character here, Gabriel and Oak, the name here of this main character in this novel, is he an angel-like character? Is he a solid-like character? Is he a serious-like character? And so on. So even the choice of names here, I'm saying, also really is important and symbolical. Again, I say the name in A Rose for Emily. A Rose for Emily, the name Homer Barron, is an ironical name, because in looking at his relationship with Emily, one discovers that Homer is neither a Homer nor a Baron. Later on I will show you, because his name is Homer and Baron. Homer is a big name of a great poet in classical Greek society, or in classical Greece, or really in classical Greek history and literature. Homer, who wrote the Odyssey and who wrote the Iliad. So the name Homer means greatness. And really, Baron is really, again, if you like, a royal title. We say the Baron and Baroness, like the Duke and Duchess, like Duke and Duchess, like Prince and Princess, and so on. So we say here that the name given really is funny, is ironical. They gave him Homer, who is not a Homer, and he gave him Baron, and he's not a Baron, So really the idea here is very ironical and sarcastic. And I will show you this later on about this story when we study it. Okay? Now, the last section here, I say the tone is the attitude of the author towards his work. We can say that atmosphere is the general mood or that pervades, and I think I said that here. I'm concluding this in the same way. There is no need to repeat that. Yes? Okay?
Okay.
Any
Okay.
question? Any question?
No.
All right, good. Now the last section here is, as you can see, again, briefly, I will talk about it, and that's it, is symbol. Well, I repeated that again. Really, I mentioned this many times, about symbolism and symbolical, and, I said that many times. Everywhere I said it, I mentioned it. Symbol in fiction is something important since it leads to the ultimate meaning or meanings in fiction. By definition, symbol is a work of literature. Again, in a work of literature is something that suggests or stands for something else without losing its original identity. Again, here I go back to the idea of a rose for Emily. Rose. Again, symbol here, really. So I say a symbol can stand for something, and for something or somebody or whatever to mean something else, but without losing its original idea. We say Emily, a rose for Emily. Was Emily a lovely woman like a rose? Was she like a rose? Well, no, we say she was ugly because she was terrible and she killed and she did this and she did that and so on. Well, one of the meanings, one of the explanations. Later on, you may say to me, oh, no, I don't agree with you, doctor. Yeah, you can say that, but this is the idea. I'm saying that symbols are used here to reflect other meanings. I say a symbol is an object, could be an object, could be a person, could be a setting, could be an event, and all these things can be symbolical. As I said, the name Gabriel Oak or the name Baron, Homer Baron, symbolical. I said, ironical, sarcastic, in the same thing. It could mean, the name, the person himself, and so on. So again, I could say it is a device in literature where an object represents an idea. In novels, symbols contain or combine their literal meaning with the suggestion of an abstract concept. There is a difference between an image and a symbol. And again, I think, I don't want you to worry about these differences here. Just really to worry about this question of what do we mean by symbolism or symbols. Like when you say rain symbolizes happiness, or rain in our society, it symbolizes goodness, or rain in England or in America or in European societies where they have rain all the time, rain means bad, and so on. So symbolism and symbols also change according to societies and according to really other places and people. Again, examples of symbols include sunshine, which suggests happiness, rain, which suggests sorrow, clouds, which suggest despair, flag, which stands for nation, and blah, blah, blah. I give so many meanings here about it. So I say again, because always in literature, we use this as symbolism. Symbolism really emphasizes, again, I say, the question of correctness or interpreting fiction. Again, really, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you really honestly, there is no correct answer in literature. I tell you from now, there's no really wrong answer. Well, all this correctness and the wrongness of answers always are tricky, always are relative, always are edgy. We really can't say, yeah, this symbol really means this and only this. There's no way we can say this, absolutely. You understand? So this is what I'm saying, correctness. And I say whether, even the question here, the idea we want to believe that this is correct or not correct. So the idea here, there is no perfect And that's what I mean here. There is no perfect or even best interpretation of a story. We have different possible interpretations and meanings of it. No matter how much we try to explain or examine plot, character, point of view, or symbolism, we will still not achieve the ultimate interpretation of a story. This is because fictional texts cannot have meanings totally independent of their readers, because, you know, I'm saying here that meanings depends on you, how you see it. Meanings is related to you, readers. Meanings, for example, to you as an Omani student is different from, for example, to people from China, or to a Chinese interpretation, or to an American interpretation. Or maybe meanings to you, a short story will mean something to you here in Oman, which is different from my interpretation. So I'm saying here, meanings have to do with the reader, because you give the meaning. The exact, notice here, the act of reading, and I think this is important. The act of reading is, in many ways, an interaction with the story between the author. It's the story of the author and the reader. Texts can have different meanings for different individuals, for different cultures, or different times, blah, 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 blah. Yes, absolutely. That's why we still read today Shakespeare. That's why we still read today the classics, because we still see things in them, maybe different from the way they meant for their own society. We still read these old texts because we think we find something new, something related to us now. And that's why we give our own, we give our own, we shed our own interpretations. And I think this is important. We instill our own meanings and interpretations into these texts. And authors can't say to us, why are you doing this? Because the text is not the property of the author. When it's published, that's it, the author is dead. So he can't control, or she can't control, the way we see their texts. You understand?
Yes. Yes.
Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, or maybe, yeah, well, we don't know. You are saying it, so we will, Are you saying that? Yeah, really, this is absolutely true. Honestly, this is the situation that oh yeah, somebody said yes, thank you. Yeah, Marwa, yeah, Marwa, I like your question. She said, so doctor, the question is why there is correct and wrong answers in exams, as each of us see the story in different way. Marwa, can you you can't speak? Yeah? Yeah, she's right. I don't know. Can you? Because I like your question. That I don't say this is a correct answer and wrong answer. I would say your question, your answer is not, for example, correct in the way you do it, not the idea behind it, not the way you maybe explain the whole thing. Of course, I'm saying, wait a minute, I'm saying here, not every answer should be correct or can be correct. Not everything you say can be correct. Sometimes you misunderstand something. Maybe you don't see it. And that's why I will show you. For example, I say, well, your answer is wrong here because you did not see the exact meaning, because you did not see, for example, this section in the story, or you did not see this part of the story. If you have read this part of the story, for example, you would have known better and you would have given better answer. So your answer will be wrong because you did not read the text. Marwa and everybody else here, I'm saying your question or your answer will be wrong because you did not really see the text. You did not exactly reflect on the text correctly. And that's the idea at the end of the day. I see. So she said, yeah, somebody, Salma said, the question to the language center in SQU. Yeah. Well, people who taught you this to say this is wrong and this is correct, and if they said this to you in the language center, well, I'm sorry, they are wrong. Really, this is not good. Because in literature, things are always relative. You know, it depends on how you see it, but sometimes you miss something, so your answer will not be completely wrong, will be missing something. So that's why I say, yeah, but, yes, but if you have done this, I would have given you this. If you have, you know, so this is what I mean by relative, meaning, not exactly. There is still something missing. So Ya Salma and Ya Marwa and everybody else, I think this is really the idea here, which is, I think, good to bear in mind about the situation I'm saying here about there's no one meaning. You see, so that's what I'm saying here. The way I read Shakespeare, for example, the way I understand Shakespeare, for example, or the way I read this play, I read it in my own perspective, in my own Omani, for example, perspective. And I see it in relation to my own culture, to my own religion, to my own background. And if I see it in this way, that's okay. That's fine. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. And I give people the best marks. Really, honestly, I tell you the truth. Honestly, I did this and I always do this. People who give me their own cultural, realistic reflections on texts, it means they have understood the text and, you know, they have applied the text on their own, for example, cultural, societal, really meanings. And that's good. You know, this is really the idea at the end of the day. That's what we want in our education here, to learn, to get something. And that's at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, that's why we study literature. That's why we study literature, because we get better people, better thinkers, better, if you like, you know, educators, because at the end of the day, you are part of the education department. The way, for example, here, or college, the way you see things, the way you appreciate things, you know, would be different and would be widely enriched through looking at other people's attitudes or other people's cultures and so on. So really, this is the case. Yeah, thanks for asking. If you can't speak up, at least you are writing in the chat, which is good. I think we can follow that easily. So that's it, ladies here and gentlemen. I say finally, a warning should be made to prospective readers and students of literature. I'm saying we are not suggesting, and this is what I was saying, notice, we are not suggesting, I'm not suggesting here that any interpretation of a text is valid. Why? I say, if you say something, I don't like it, and you don't give me reasons, then this is not acceptable. That's why your question will be wrong. I say, yeah, your question is not correct, or you did not give me why. You know, you need to give me why. And that's what I'm saying, valid interpretation. And any valuation will be accepted. Interpretations are indeed linked linked to reactions, but these reactions should be rooted in evidence and informed by an understanding of how fiction works. This takes some effort and seriousness by the readers, and therefore whatever such serious readers try to do so to persuade others of the rightness of their interpretation is what makes literary criticism a valid and always an interesting business. Yeah, I mean, this is what I was saying. I'm saying, you know, this text is excellent because of this and this and that. If you don't tell me in the exam, you say, oh, I hate this novel, and you don't tell me why, so I say, well, your answer is wrong. Why do you hate it? Or why do you like it? Or you give me evidence. You have to show evidence. And evidence here means your own evaluation, your own understanding, your own application. If you do that, if you show me your own application, your own examples, and then I would say, oh yes, in this case, yes, I am persuaded. You have convinced me. If you don't give me examples and reasons to agree, then your answer will not be correct. Okay, that's it. Any question, ladies and gentlemen? I think we've had enough of this, and I move on to the next section, which is the parable. Have you read these? Have you read any of the parables? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you there?
No, we don't.
No, Doctor, I didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah, people are still reacting, yes.
You mean in Arabic, يعني, or in English?
No, they are reacting in English. No Arabic one. Where's the Arabic one? I don't see any Arabic reaction.
No, I mean you ask about if we have read in Arabic or in English, or
Oh no,
in English.
no. What do you mean Arabic? No Arabic here. We are studying English. Come on. Have you read it the way you mean? Have you read it in Arabic?
I read in Arabic and English also.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, fine, no problem. Fine. But
The same story with the both languages.
yeah, I know, but you see, why do you do that? To get quick understanding or quick interpretation or quick translation?
I don't know, that was happened to the time along, and it's not now.
Oh, I see. Oh, no problem, really no problem. But you see, now I encourage you people to do it always in English, because we want to learn the structuring, the language, the etc. Rahma said something really nice. She said, I like what you said, doctor. You gave me some confidence. Well, yes, of course, because you should be getting this confidence, because that's what we do, really. That's what we do. That's at least what I do. As a literature professor, I do this all the time with my students when they really give me their own explanations, and they give me evidence, they give me support, they give me examples from their own readings, from their own cultural understandings of things. No problem, you know, that's the whole idea, really. That's the meaning of literature. Now, the parable here, the first parable is quite really interesting here. Let me read it quickly for you if you have not read it. Here it's really to do is the parable of the prodigal son. The parable of the prodigal son. It's really originally taken from the New International Version of the Bible, the parable of the lost son. Okay, so here Jesus, you know, this is taken directly, quoted from the Bible. And really, this is a very important reference. Remember, really, I must say to you here, one important point, ladies and gentlemen. Really, all our English, you know, I should say Western, really, Western culture, Western literature is so much influenced by a lot of biblical references, So that's why don't say to me, "Oh, doctor, why are you quoting for us the Bible here?" Well, you know, the Bible here is just as an example to support our idea about the meanings of being good or bad or evil or not, acceptable or not acceptable here. And really the story here is very nice. Notice he said, there was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and his feet. Bring the fatted calf and kill it. Let us have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. 'Your brother has come,' he replied, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has him back safe and sound.' The older brother was angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I have been very slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him.' 'My son,' the father said, 'you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. So he was lost and is found.'" What do you think? What do you think? Are you happy with the father or with the son, the second son? Do you think the father was correct to do what he did? Hello. If you can't speak, please give me comments in the chat. What do you think?
I think the father may be correct because he didn't want to lose his son.
Absolutely. Because he's a father.
Yeah.
You know, because he's a father, he's looking at him, you know, he is a father. And he's saying clearly that your brother was dead and we found him alive. So that's why we are celebrating. I'm not celebrating because he lost his money or he squandered his money, as you say, with prostitutes. He is alive again because originally he was dead. So you see, I don't know. I mean, any more comments? Girls, boys?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Basmala, thank you very much. Yeah, Basmala, you are a courageous girl. You speak up all the time. I'm happy with you. I will give you extra bonuses later. Yes. Yeah. Come. Oh, really? My God. Look at this. Fayyad said, I think the father made a mistake. Wow. And Balqis said the father and and he tries to give both his sons a lesson in life. Yeah. Fayyad, you are saying the father is wrong. He said, I think the father made a mistake. I see what you mean. I understand what you mean. Maybe the question really here, if you look at the father from a practical, realistic, economical, modern, contemporary view, you say yes, that boy wasted all his money and therefore he does not deserve any more attention by us. He took his share and he wasted his share. Therefore, he took what he had, right? He took all his share and he wasted it. Therefore, practically speaking, from a realistic perspective, from a commercial perspective, from a materialistic perspective, from a modern perspective, from a terrible, if you like, modern day perspective, yes, I agree with you that maybe the father is giving us here the intention or the idea that, you know, you are always welcome back. When you go waste your money and come back, I will look after you. No, the father really did not mean this. Yeah, Fayyad said again, Fayyad said, yes, he's an adult. Yes, he needs to gain respect again before. I see what you mean. Yeah, I like that. I mean, yeah, I mean, Fayyad, you are saying this because again, it depends on how you look at it. How you, for example, from our cultural Islamic, you know, situation, that yes, we think that the father should not, because you know, the other son took what he took all his share, therefore he should not be given. But you see here the name father, and the idea really is to do with passion, with compassion and forgiveness, because fathers forgive. And really, this is, remember the idea, you know, somebody again, Hafsa said, I feel bad for the other son. Yeah, I don't know which one. You mean the one who wasted or not wasted? Yeah, maybe, yeah, in a way, yes. But you see, fathers are fathers. Brothers can never be brothers. You know, sometimes it's very hard to feel bad towards your father. Maybe you can feel bad towards your brother, but not to your father and not to your son. Because the attitude, really the attitude here, yes, Fayyad is saying, yes, true, and so on. Yeah, okay, good. So the idea really I'm saying here is, this is how, if you want to explain it from a modern way, from a modern perspective way, this lesson would give a bad implication, meaning children can go and waste their money and they will be always welcome back. Well, no, that's not the message. Sons will not be welcome back because the other brother is, the implication here is, the meaning here, that if you go and waste your money, you waste your fortune, well, it's your luck and your money, and I'm not going to give you any of mine. Again, to say the idea that brothers can never be fathers. Brothers can never be fathers. They don't feel the same. And that's why here, really, the idea here is to do with the Christian idea. And again, Anfal is saying, yes, exactly. You know, this is the idea. Yeah, absolutely. Because the son here, the next son, can't understand why his father did this. And that's why he responded to him. You made him a feast. You killed the fattened calf, and you did this and you did this to him. And his father is saying to him, son, your brother was dead and now he's alive. Can't you see this? And of course, the brother can't see it. The brother can't see it because he's a brother. Because he's a brother, not a father. You see, this is the idea exactly. Really, that's true. And sometimes you don't really know this. And I'm sure your parents, maybe one day, your parents always say this to you. You say this to you. When you become a father, you know what I mean. Because the way sometimes we talk to our children, and our children don't listen to us, for example, or don't say or whatever to us. We say, yeah, because you're not a father. Wait and see how you look at your children. Wait and see how you love all your children in the same way. Don't ever, and this is real, by the way, this is real. Don't ever think your father loves your brother more than you, or your father or your mother loves your sister more than you, or loves this one more than you. No. Fathers, mothers, they have the same, absolutely the same feeling to all the children. Of course, there are wicked children. Of course, there are troublemakers, children, and so on and so forth. Yes, but that's nothing to do with real love towards your children. And really, this is the idea here. And I think I explained it to you here in my share here, as you can see. Look at it. Of course, I explained it here, and I think you can look at it, I think, in many ways, okay? And I think you can read it, and it's very clear. I really don't need to read it for you here. But, again, the modern contemporary explanations, as Fayyad was saying here, the last section here in my explanations, and I think I got this from different sources. Again, you should read this on your own, because this really explains what this parable really means. Remember, we say this is parable. to mean really different things in so many ways. Now, again, you know, at the end of the day, notice I say the father also understands that the younger brothers of the world will not be reformed and will not, you know, rebound if they feel that they are being lectured by the unpleasant people who consider themselves models of rectitude. Imagine if the older brother had gone out to greet the prodigal son instead of his father, giving him some patronizing lecture. Do we think the younger son would have reformed his life to become a productive member of the community? No. He would have gotten back up and found some, you know, bad boy, you know, counterculture he could join to retreat, to reassert his dignity. And I think, you know, we see this again. The father teaches that rebinding and reordering society requires an aggressive assertion. You are accepted, you know, you are accepted. Again, here you are again the same way accepted. It requires mutual confession and then a mutual turning towards some common project. Why does the father organize a feast? Because a feast is nominally about food, but in real life, it's really about membership. It reasserts your embodied or embedded, I should say, role in the community, and so on. You know, that's why we say in Ramadan or in other occasional religious occasions, people meet. Why? Why people meet? You know, this is the idea, because, you know, and I think here in Oman, I've heard it so far many times, you know, Omani society, you know, they believe in this social, absolutely socializing thing. They meet a lot and they communicate a lot and they, you know, talk and eat and go together and so on. So this question of togetherness and this question of, you know, community is important here, to feel that you are part of the community. And really, this is maybe the idea the father wanted to say. So here, notice the father offers each boy a precious gift. The younger son gets to dedicate himself to work and self-discipline. The other son gets to surpass the cold calculus of utility and ambition and experience the warning or the warming embrace of solidarity and companionship. The other son really learned the hard lesson to say life is not money. Life is not going out and spending your money. Life, you know, as he said here, is not to calculate. It's not calculation. If you calculate and start always calculating things, you know, how much this and how much is that, how much is this and how much is that, you know, it's not to do with calculation and utility. Really, it's something to do with companionship. It's something of, as he said, solidarity, of community. And really, this is the meaning of this whole thing. And here where I'm going to stop today, I will continue with those next time. Okay? Any question, anything?
Doctor, there are some comments in the chat.
Yeah? Oh, yes. Let me, yeah, I have not, I have not looked at them, yes. Yeah, Hafsa said, knowing the fact that this text is from the Bible makes it more sensible. It does teach a lesson about forgiveness, yes. Fathers always, Anfal said, fathers always accept and forgive their children no matter what. Yes, thank you, that's true. Balqis said, I think that father tries to say to his older son that your brother return and get his lesson, learn from his mistakes. So we celebrate to show forgiveness and starting again, starting a new correct life. Yes, I agree with you. Thank you, Ya Balqis. And Fal again said, yes, Hafsa, I think the father in the story symbolizes Jesus. Yes, absolutely. You know, I did not say this to you because it's clear, really. And I don't want to say this because I don't want people to misunderstand me in any way. So Jesus here again is the one who tells the story, as you can see. Yes, again, somebody said, yeah, children usually don't understand father's perspective of life. Nuh said that. Yeah, I think that's true, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely, I agree with you. And thank you. Thank you for your comments and your chat comments. Really, sometimes, yeah, because they will give our own understanding of things. And really, this is true. Sometimes we can have, in real life, by the way, we have people like that. We have people like this everywhere, you know? And I think this is the idea I think we always find everywhere. Now, if you, yeah, again, what Abdul Malik said, or Abdul Malik, they, until they become fathers themselves. Yes, I absolutely. That's the true thing, as I said to you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being nice, lovely students today. And I think the stories we are going to do for next time, look into the outline and read the next parables and the next fables. I will finish those next time. Okay? Read them, look at them quickly for our next meeting.
Inshallah.
Okay. If you don't have any question, then that's really it. Okay.